My grandfather was examining a perfectly ripe cantaloupe when the shriek cut through the morning calm of Riverside Market. You know the voice belonged to Patricia Holloway, and it carried the kind of authority that only comes from someone who prints their own business cards declaring themselves Community Standards Coordinator. Grandpa looked up from the melon display, his weathered hands still cradling the fruit he'd been inspecting for the past 3 minutes. "Excuse me?" he asked, genuinely confused by the interruption to his Thursday morning routine. Patricia marched toward him, her HOA badge swinging from a lanyard that probably cost more than the groceries in most people's carts. "You've been banned from this establishment, Mr. Brennan." Effective immediately, she punctuated each word by tapping her clipboard. I watched as my 82-year-old grandfather shuffled toward the exit, confusion written across his face. That's when I stepped out from behind the yogurt display. "Patricia," I said evenly, "you just banned the owner's grandfather from his own family store." Her face went pale as she realized who I was. "I'm Nathan Brennan, co-owner of Riverside Market with my sister Rachel. Our family had run this grocery store for decades. Grandpa had worked here 40 years before retiring, and his weekly trips were a cherished tradition." Patricia, HOA president of Pine Valley, had been harassing him for weeks, timing his shopping, criticizing his inefficient browsing, and filing absurd reports like subject-engaged cashier in 4-minute conversation about grandchildren. When she tried to ban him from the store under made-up community commerce guidelines, I called Rachel. Together, we confronted Patricia in front of staff and customers. Rachel, furious, threatened legal action for harassment. Patricia claimed HOA authority over our private business, which only made everyone laugh. "By banning an 82-year-old man for taking too long to pick out fruit?" I asked. "Grandpa spent 4 decades making sure this store served the community. He knows every employee by name, their kids' names, their birthdays. Half the people who work here got their first jobs from him. And you want to ban him because he doesn't meet your made-up efficiency standards." The crowd backed us. Even employees defended Grandpa openly. Outnumbered, Patricia stormed out, vowing to call an emergency HOA meeting. She did, but it backfired spectacularly. Her evidence presentation was full of grainy photos of Grandpa shopping. The board, many of whom loved him, were horrified. Helen Patterson cut her off, saying, "Patricia, that's Mr. Stanley. He helped my daughter get her first job when she was 16. The meeting ended with a unanimous vote condemning Patricia's actions and issuing a formal apology to our family. The fallout didn't stop there. Patricia's employer, local realtor Janet Morrison, had witnessed the confrontation. Disgusted, she suspended Patricia, later firing her outright. Meanwhile, we launched Stanley Brennan Appreciation Week at Riverside Market. Discounts, photos, and stories celebrating Grandpa's years of kindness. The community responded with overwhelming support, and the local news ran a headline that went viral: HOA president attempts to ban elderly man from family store. The final blow came at the next regular HOA meeting. The agenda included a vote of no confidence in Patricia's leadership proposed by multiple board members. The community room was packed, standing room only, as resident after resident stood up to share their grievances. The vote wasn't even close. Patricia was removed from her position by a margin of 47-3, with only her and her 2 closest allies voting to keep her in power. As the results were announced, Patricia's face crumbled. The clipboard she'd carried like a scepter clattered to the floor. "This is all because of that old man and his family," she said, her voice shaking. "They turned everyone against me." "No, Patricia," Helen Patterson said firmly. "You turned everyone against you the moment you decided that your made-up rules were more important than basic human decency." The cameras caught Patricia's exit, storming out with her box of HOA materials, refusing to comment. Days later, she was terminated from her job. By week's end, her house was listed for sale. Ironically, the new HOA board cited her own rules and fined her for placing the sign 2 inches too close to the sidewalk. Her losses were immense: financial, personal, and reput.